What's up, guys? was there something weird that happened yesterday? Was there a giant damning piece that was brought out about Caleb Williams? What's going on? How you guys feeling today? What's going on? I didn't even want to do an intro on this. We got to jump into the conversation. The Tyler Dunne article is incredibly interesting. The reason I waited until today was because I did want to be able to read through the two pieces and kind of understand what was being said, what were the concerns, all of these things that have happened. And we're going to talk about the Caleb Williams aspect of this. We're going to talk about the Ryan Poles aspect of this. I also want to give you guys an update on injury report as we go into this Monday night football game. And of course, get your thoughts on the Monday night game and how you think that's going to all play out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Oh, my buttons are messed up. Hold on. What's going on here? What's going on here? There it is.
Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. All right, let's start it off here. Because I'm going to go through the article and, you know, kind of the bullet points that stand out for me. But let's start off by saying, so that we all understand in here, this matters if things go wrong. That's it. This only matters if things go wrong. If these issues pop up with Ben Johnson in the building. 110% you can say, oh, well, these things happen and you can't just forget about the past of this. It only matters if this season those same issues pop up and Caleb Williams has the same struggles. The Ryan Poles portion of it, I think that's a little bit more interesting to kind of dive into, and I want to get into that as well. But like this thought that because of these reports that are sourced by people who maybe they have an agenda, maybe they don't. You know, if you get fired for doing a job, you're probably going to be a little bit disgruntled. You're probably going to see the negative side of things more than the positive. But this matters if Caleb Williams goes out there and he looks like he doesn't know the plays. He looks like he doesn't understand the system. Looks like he's not improving on the defensive end. That's what it comes down to. Or on the offensive end, I should say. That's what it comes down to. So I want to get that out of the way before we get into the actual material that was said. And some of the things that I thought stood out to me about the Caleb Williams portion of the article were essentially that Caleb Williams was coddled as a rookie, right? That there were times where his attitude was an issue in there with Shane Waldron. And there were times where the players were upset with him that, you know, he wasn't really putting his best foot forward and being the captain, that even that the captain being put on him was a Matt Eberflus coaching staff kind of thing to try and prop him up as the leader, right? And I think that is, again, I don't know what's true or not, but that's one thing that stood out to me because something that the players have said continually, and I think we just attributed this to Nate Davis. We attributed this to, who else was here? Like Avalis Jones or guys that Ryan Poles has brought in. That when the players have come out and said it's about holding everyone accountable, no matter where you're drafted, no matter what your position is in the building, no matter, like that could be about, and we've heard that multiple times. Is that about Caleb Williams as well. Was he getting away with some things that rookie year? Was he getting away with showing up to meetings late? Was he getting away with, not understanding the playbook and still basically being propped up as this guy? I don't know. Again, this is all sourced material from different guys that were in the building that it seems like are no longer in the building. And so for me, when I hear that, though, I think that some of that absolutely could be true, because the quarterback position is viewed very differently. And I can see how you want to make sure that Caleb Williams is comfortable and understands it, and how you can take that too far. There's a very fine line that you have to walk between coddling and trying to make things easier on your quarterback. And can I sit here and tell you that I can see that maybe there was some coddling going on? Yeah, sure. That maybe things were being a little bit too much catered to Caleb, and you would like, sure. But for me, we saw that change last season. And he does bring this out in the article. Another source talks about how Thomas Brown was the anti-Waldron and Eberflus. He implored the team to let Williams know when he screwed up. He himself led that charge by being tough on the entire team. Some players didn't respond well. Too little, too late. Like, those are the things for me that we're seeing in Ben Johnson. Again, why I'm not as concerned. Ben's not giving anybody. Ben literally told DJ Moore, I understand the face thing, fix it. I understand that, that sometimes that's just how you look. Smile, fix it. Your number one wide receiver coming in, he said it's about the perception. We don't want to give off energy that is defeated energy. And so when I hear that about, how Thomas Brown came in and he started that change, he started to do those things. We're seeing that every single day out of Ben Johnson. Again, so looking at this, looking at last season, looking at the issues that Caleb Williams had, right? If they are true, if they're not, I don't know. And I do want to address the big one that he went on CHGO and talked about. We got to have that conversation as well. I mean, like, some of the stuff is nuts here, but we'll get to that in time. But honestly, looking at how Ben Johnson comes in here and a lot of the things that are brought out as issues, a lot of the things that are brought out as what stood out about the wristband issues, that he was the reason that plays were getting in late. That he was the reason that, it wasn't Shane Waldron who was calling the game plan slow, that Caleb Williams wasn't understanding it. Yeah, it's called a rookie quarterback. That's where, as a offensive coordinator, you absolutely have to make sure that your guy knows what he's doing. You absolutely have to watch film with him. And I think what's interesting about this is clearly we could see last season that the process was flawed. Clearly we could see last season that there were issues with how they were going about developing Caleb Williams. Am I going to sit here and tell you it's 110% on Shane Waldron? No, I've never said that. I've said there are things that Caleb Williams needed to do to be better. But the conversation here also has to be, under Ben Johnson, is he doing those things to get better? Under Ben Johnson, is he watching tape at that level? Under Ben Johnson, is he improving his footwork? Is he improving in reading defenses? Is he being late to meetings? I think if we were hearing about, I think if Caleb Williams was late to meetings and was having issues with that, Ben Johnson isn't the kind of person to sugarcoat on stuff like that. He would probably say, hey, we're having some issues here. Remember, Ben Johnson, the guy who walked in the building and basically just told us last week that, hey, if we don't get Braxton, if we don't figure out this left tackle position, we may make a change. Essentially telling Braxton Jones, hey, buddy, you better get it right or you will be replaced this season. So were these issues? Possibly. But to me, when I went through this article, and there's some stuff here where it's like, there's some of the, again, it feels very targeted. It feels very pointed at the tearing down, I guess I'd say, of Caleb Williams. And again, this is coming from coaches who basically were fired because they didn't get Caleb Williams to work. They didn't get through to Caleb Williams. So in that sense, right, is there some vitriol? Is there some ill will trying to get back a little bit of credibility that maybe was taken from you? Like, those are the things for me where you have to look at this thing on both sides, but it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it doesn't. That it isn't, I should say. The biggest thing that this Bears team can do right now is go out there and find a way to win. The biggest thing that Caleb Williams can do right now is go out there and find a way to win and find a way to perform versus a Brian Flores defense that's going to be very dominant. You know what's going to happen to this article? It's going to get real quiet. Shout out to you guys for tuning in and showing love, man. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Hit the hype button as well. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I want to get to some of you guys' comments in here as well on this topic. Sarlax says, what a silly story to give energy to. Pat, listen, I need y'all to understand this about doing this kind of job. I can't pick just the positive things to do topics on. I can't pick just the best stories to do topics on because it makes you feel good. I appreciate everybody who comes in here and watches, but when people complain about like, this is stupid, why are we even talking about it? Because it's newsworthy about the quarterback that plays for our team in our city. Because there's an entire article basically saying that you've got bigger problems here in Chicago than you think with this. Now, I'm also going to give you the reasons why I feel much more confident that we're not going to have that happen this season. I do think it's because of Ben Johnson being in the building, not doing the coddling the quarterback conversation, if you will. And again, even that part, what I don't like about this is when people are reading through this article, you're picking and choosing what you want to believe and what you don't. I don't know if any of it's true. I don't know if all of it's true. I'm simply stating that there is possibly an agenda behind some of the commentary that you're going to get from people who have commentated on this article. But I can't sit here and do this show and try and give you guys the best content that there is and just ignore certain stories that are going to be out there because they don't make us feel good. So I just want to get that out of the way as well. Shout out to you guys, man. Past is the past. This is from Daniel Webster. Past is the past. People troll old news because they have no future themselves. I mean, listen, I don't think that if these things are true, right, they are things that you have to be watching out for. If these things are true, they are things that you have to keep an eye on under Ben Johnson. Because there may be things that pop back up. They may be things that are a part of Caleb's personality. They may be things that are issues that Caleb Williams is going to have to break under Ben Johnson, and that may cause bumps and bruises along the way. That part I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if that ends up happening. But it's something that you do raise your radar on. Say, okay, we'll see if this ends up going out there. And as he plays this game, do we see him taking too long to get to the huddle? Does he look like he understands what he's seeing on defense, which would imply that he's watching a ton more tape this year? Does he look like he's out there comfortable in this system? Because there never was a point last season. I said Caleb Williams looked more comfortable in Thomas Brown's system in the I don't even know what the last 6 weeks. I think Thomas Brown took over. He looked more comfortable in that than he did at any point in Shane Waldron's system, which would tell you that there's issues and errors on both sides. And I think Caleb would tell you, listen, did he do everything to make this a perfect situation? Probably not. Did the coaches do everything to help a rookie quarterback along? Probably not. We want to put 100% of the blame on one side versus the other, and it's just not the case. Deontay Johnson said, Pat, the fact that you waited to address it in CHGO, decided to do an emergency podcast without doing any due diligence says a lot. You're the best. I appreciate you for that. I'm not here slandering CHGO or none of that. Listen, I think they have a good platform. I respect Adam, Hogue, and Johns as reporters. And I think even today they had talked about, I didn't see the video, but I think I saw on Twitter that they had talked about that they were going to address some of the mistakes that they made. Listen, people F up. I'm not going to crucify an entire platform. I'm not going to crucify an entire organization, I guess, because something went wrong. Would I have done it that way? No. But I'm also a one-man show. Well, one-man show in this sense. We got a team, but it's not like, all city. This is Pat. Shout out to you guys, though. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Doug Key says, so now this coming out before the first game, man, some of these people just want to drive narrative. Listen, the timing of it's interesting. Now, you can't deny that. The timing of it is absolutely to capitalize. The timing of it is absolutely to capitalize. But does that mean that things in this are untrue? That I don't know. And again, even Tyler, right? Like the reporting part of this, he's just reporting what people are telling him. I don't know if this is a personal opinion piece. I wouldn't call it that. I would say it's more of the scouts and the people that he's listening to, the scouts, the former coaches and stuff like that he's listening to, and he's just putting that pen to paper. So I don't even begrudge him for the reporting. I will say, though, the timing of it is you want to drop a video, I guess, when it's hot. You want to drop an article when it's going to hit the biggest. What do we got here? I seen a comment that I wanted to actually get to. Somebody just did it. Where was the comment? Dang it. How did I lose that comment? I saw a free J comment. Anyway, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Looking at this on the Ryan Poles side of the article. Now, this one is a little bit more interesting. Oh, that was the comment I wanted to get to. I just found it. Oh, my Josh with a comment here. before we get to the Ryan Poles part, said, is it not a good sign that Caleb was voted captain again? 110%. 110%, because the operation is very different this season. The operation in the building is very much a leadership, merit-based kind of, hey, you have to put in the work and have the respect of your players and your team. And Ben Johnson told us that the coaches did not vote on this. The players voted on this. So the fact that there was enough done, and I love that he waited, and maybe I would assume most teams do that, but you went through just about all of training camp. You had a little bit left there before the captains were voted, and the players got an opportunity to vote on who they wanted to be the captain of this team or be a captain on this team after you saw how the players went through the process. I do think that that is big to say, that Caleb Williams went through this entire camp, went through this entire process, and was voted a captain by his peers that are still in the building. I think that does mean a lot, especially heading into this season. And again, we will truly see what that is when the football starts to get played. This only matters, again, I said it at the top of this show, I'll say it again here. This only matters if the Bears go out there and you see the same issues popping up left and right. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I am jumping too far ahead here. I had a couple more things I did want to get to. The learning disability part of this, I'm not even going to touch that. Right? Because it hasn't stopped him from getting to this point, if it is true. He's been a Heisman. He's been an elite quarterback in college. He's been a dominant quarterback at a prep school in high school, where they did run NFL-styled systems. Like, if we're keeping it a buck, like, why did it never become an issue until now? Why did it never become an issue? For you to say this guy has a learning disability and the Bears are very empathetic to that fact, and that could be, something that you have to watch for here. Why is it an issue now? By the way, after a season where he still had 3,500 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, broke Bears quarterback rookie passing records, and had a overall pretty good rookie year, even though people don't want to give him credit for that, while being sacked 68 times with a terrible offensive line, with coaches that are incompetent. Say what you want. I'm not saying that every coach in there wasn't, but that coaches that clearly are incompetent. Chris Morgan, come on, dog. We ain't had an offensive lineman develop in how long? And every offensive lineman they brought in, Caleb Williams was still able to survive that and still go out there and play. So, like, the learning disability part of this was like a weird thing for you to throw in and have that felt like a jab to me. Like you were actually just trying to disrespect somebody man to man. Zero Damon said with super chat, shout out to you for supporting the channel on the super chat, my guy. Appreciate everybody who supports the channel monetarily like that. He said the man used homophobic language and insinuated Caleb had a learning disability. The last major piece the clown did was a hit piece on Roger, all with unnamed sources, LOL. Listen, I will say this as well. For everybody who's like, name your sources, show me your sources, name your sources. When you name your sources, you no longer have sources. Like, we understand that, right? That's how this job works. If I go out there and I talk to somebody and they tell me something that they're like, yo, you can run with this, but don't put my name to it. Which, listen, I have my own opinions on that, but okay. But if you have someone who's giving you information and if you name your sources, you don't have sources. Like if he comes out and he's like, Thomas Brown said this, it's like, okay. Guess what he's never going to do? He's never going to talk to Thomas Brown again. So like that part of it, I'm not sitting here looking for him to name his sources. But what I will say is this. As I was reading through the article, when I got to that part where it was talking about him dealing with dyslexia and stuff like that, whether if he is or not, right? You don't know the degree, if he does have dyslexia that he has. You don't know how much work he's done to improve on that. And you don't know if that is something that has impacted him to this point. By the way, probably not if he does have if he does have dyslexia, because he's made it to the NFL and was literally one of the best players in the draft, the best player, some may say, in the draft for you to select with the number one overall pick. Like that was weird. Deontay Johnson, he said Caleb sashayed like RuPaul. It was a definite attack on Caleb. That's why I had a big problem with this and the other podcast. Listen, like, people are going to talk how they talk, and they're going to feel how they feel. And at the end of the day, I don't care what he does when he's in the locker room. I don't care what he does off the field, as long as it's not impacting the football team. If we start off this, again, I keep saying this, if he goes out there and he balls out on Monday night, this story is dead immediately. That's why he had to drop it now. If he goes out there and Ben Johnson has him driving down the field, lacing this ball in there, just killing us on Monday night, that's why, like, this story will die immediately. So for me, like, the Caleb Williams portion of this, we'll see if any of this pops back up. But I feel like we're not going to have that issue with Ben Johnson at the helm. But again, let's get to this part. I've been trying to get to this part because this part I thought was a little bit more interesting. The Ryan Poles portion of this I thought was a little bit more interesting. Because I feel like how we've seen Ryan Poles go about the draft process, we've all been worried about that. How we've seen Ryan Poles go about the draft process, right? What led you to believe that Velus Jones was going to be a number one wide receiver? Or even a wide receiver within the top three? What led you to believe that Braxton Jones, not Braxton Jones, I shouldn't use that one because Braxton is a hit. But what led you to believe that a guy like Karan Amagaji, coming out of a small school, was going to become this elite level left tackle? Because that's how you talked about him. And I get talking up your picks, but that's how you talked about him. Like, when I look at the draft process, that's where my biggest questions have come in. And while I do think Caleb Williams was the right pick, I do want to know that you're doing your due diligence. Again, though, these are scouts that are probably no longer with the team, that are no longer with the team, right? These are coaches that are no longer with the team. So maybe there is this, we need to shoot some darts and daggers at Ryan Poles as well, because he's the one. But I thought some quotes that stood out in this was when he said, not once, sources say in the room, did Poles open up the floor to ask a simple question: who's a better quarterback, Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels? Says Jaden Daniels was clearly a better quarterback, says one scout. If he didn't want to go with Drake, Jaden Daniels was clearly a better quarterback to anyone with an eye. Here's my issue with that. Not to say that, you know, right now you can't argue that Jaden Daniels isn't whatever. He's balling out. He's been in the playoffs. He's gone deep in the playoffs. You know, there's something to his argument on the Jaden Daniels front right now. Again, we haven't seen this season play out. But there are people that had eyes who are scouts around the NFL that loved Caleb Williams coming, that said it's the easiest layup you can have to draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall. So a quote like that, where it's like, oh, like he didn't even, I do want to believe at least that Ryan Poles was at least gonna go, hey, does anybody think that Jaden Daniels may be a better player? But there's something about being convicted on a player that it will bite you in the butt. But I would rather have a GM that's convicted and is willing to go down his path and is willing to go down. And it's not to say I don't want him to do his due diligence. I do. And based off of what this article says, yeah, Ryan Poles didn't feel like there were people that were better than Caleb Williams. Based off of what this is saying, Ryan Poles didn't believe that watching Drake May, he was going to be better than Caleb Williams. He talked about him with Drake May, said they made fun of him, says one Bear scout in the room. They laughed. The GM laughed Drake May off the screen and cut the tape off. So they were watching tape. So they were watching Drake May, and he didn't like what he was seeing. I would have been more upset by this had you have said, never at any point did he watch Drake May's tape. Didn't even know what this young man looked like, didn't know how he was going to play, didn't know anything about him, and then he ended up going to get Caleb Williams. Because we saw that before. We saw that with Ryan Poles. He was so locked in on Mitch Trubisky, never even went to look for anybody else. So for me, I'm looking at that, and I have my issues with Ryan Poles' draft process. I do, because I don't know what's led him to some of this, some of these picks where you just go, okay, that I guess maybe it'll work out. How many times have we said that about the draft? I guess maybe this will work out. We'll have to wait and see. How many times have we said that about a 3rd round pick, about a 4th round pick? I guess this will work out. We'll just have to wait and see. Like, that's the thing for me where I definitely have some issues, but also there's a new process in the building. There's new voices in the building. You can't sit there and look at the coaching staff and say, I don't believe that these guys were good and they knew what they were looking at. And da, da, da. The coaching staff has an input on who gets drafted. The coaching staff has an input on who makes it onto the field, who gets onto the 53. So your GM's going to draft based on your coach's input. My bad, did I say Ryan Poles with Mitch? Ryan Pace with Mitch. And so if you feel like the coaching process is getting better, if you feel like the coaches have better eye for talent, heck, the offensive line immediately improved when Ben Johnson showed up and Dan Rashard got in the building and he said, hey, what's the plan here? What do you want as far as an offensive lineman so that I can go out and be able to make these acquisitions? This is what we want. This is how we want them. Da, da, da. Boom, Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dolman, immediately. 3 offensive linemen that are better than dang near everything we've had here over the last. When did Mitch get here? 17? We had a solid O-line in 18. Last 8 years? 7 years, something like that. Those are the things for me that now it's wait and see. How much of an impact is Ben Johnson going to have? Because I'll tell you what, it's early, but Colston Loveland looks pretty dang good. We'll see what he looks like in real game. But just seeing him at practice and throughout training camp, he looks pretty dang good. Looks fairly consistent. Luther Burden looks like an absolute dog. Ozzie Trapillo, don't know what he's going to be just yet. Shamar Turner, don't know what he's going to be just yet. Haven't seen enough. Ben Johnson, the guy we trust, the guy we believe in, continues to talk about your 7th round pick, Kyle Monangai. As somebody that he trusts to give the ball to on a consistent basis. He said in camp, that's somebody that we can trust in fall. Ruben Hippolyte's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, we're going to get an opportunity to see him real quick as we get to the injury report here in a second. But Ruben Hippolyte is confident. I remember we had him on the Chicago Bears podcast, and I asked him, how do you fit in with what TJ and what Tremaine are doing? And his response was, the real question is, how, in my mind, how are they going to fit in with me? I like that. And so for me, I look at, what is this new coaching staff going to bring to the new draft process? We'll find out this year pretty quickly. And hopefully there's some winning that comes with it for us to be able to sit here and be able to watch Ryan Poles over the next couple of years add to this team in the right way. What were you guys' thoughts on the Ryan Poles part of this article? Was there concerns there? Did you feel like, I thought, even the process being called a rigged trial, essentially. One of the quotes that was in there said, the quarterback process, I wouldn't even call it a process. The Caleb Williams draft pick was the most embarrassing lack of process, a fair, impartial process to scouting that I've ever seen in my life. There wasn't any actual comparison on a fair slate to which QB is actually better. They had it all lined up. Now, what does concern me is, and again, I don't know if he said this or not, but there's a part in there where I believe it says, if I don't take Caleb Williams, the media will kill me. If I don't take Caleb Williams, the media will. Knowing Ryan Poles and the draft picks that he's made, I feel like that's not how he is. But that would be concerning if that's what went into the decision-making process. KD in the chat, he says, so they got their guy. Yeah. Honestly, that's again, I came out of this reading the article, and maybe I'm reading it, in a different mindset than other people are. I'm also not coming into this article looking to be proven right or wrong on any of my opinions. I'm coming into this article looking at, okay, what's being said and how do we take that and go into, making a video and talking about the content and stuff like that. I came into the article not looking to validate or invalidate an opinion. And I think that's how a lot of people read this. If you came into this article already not liking Ryan Poles, already not liking Caleb Williams, you're going to come in with some bias. If you came into the article, I love Ryan Poles, I love Caleb Williams, you're going to come in with some bias on the other side of it. Dennis, the Chicago kid, he said, we look at Poles and blast him for certain draft picks, but coaches have to develop. Imagine Velus was drafted under Ben. Can we say 100% he would be a bust? Probably, because he can't hold on to the football. Like you can't teach. Like he's got a jugs machine. He's practicing punts every day. He couldn't hold on to the football. Like that's like there's certain draft picks that it's just there are things that you're not able to overcome. You can't get past not catching the ball. Tyler Scott, kind of same situation. Unfortunately, Tyler Scott ends up getting cut. You want to know why? Because there were better players out there catching the football. And even to bring him back on, to bring other guys back on the practice squad over Tyler Scott, that tells you all you need to know. And I like Tyler Scott. I think Tyler Scott has great footwork off the line. I think that he creates space really, really well. He don't catch the ball when it's thrown his way on a consistent enough basis. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Owen Spencer said, just Pat! But we blamed everyone but Caleb for last season. Now another report about his misfortunes, and y'all don't want to believe it. Didn't say I don't want to believe it. Didn't say I don't believe it. Didn't say I do believe it. And I'm pretty sure we also blamed Caleb for some of the struggles last year. How many times on this show have we said Caleb had these issues as well? He has to be better in X, Y, and Z area. Again, going in, hearing what you want to hear. I've called Caleb Williams out for holding the football too long. I've called Caleb Williams out for missing reads on guys that are streaking wide open. I've called Caleb Williams out for not getting into the huddle quick enough. Heck, I called him out for not calling the timeout as a rookie. Deep ball accuracy was bad. Caleb had his issues. The coaching staff made it worse. You want to know what I've seen multiple times in a NFL or on NFL teams around the league? Or let's just look around the division. A substandard quarterback that is propped up and made better because of the coaching process around him. A substandard quarterback that gets into a game and we go, oh my God, how'd he find a way to win that game? Because the coaching process around him sets him up for success. The Bears didn't do that last year. And that, listen, again, to the Ryan Poles part of this, that's on Ryan Poles. We knew coming into this season, or coming into last season, that Matt Eberflus probably was not a good head coach. We knew coming into last season that the coaching staff that you had probably wasn't good. Remember, we were all excited about the Shane Waldron hire, and then I got an opportunity to interview old boy that was from Seattle media, and everything he described was Luke Getsy, and I had to come on the show and go, hey, y'all, I think we just got Luke Getsy again. You had your preferences and you ran it back. We knew that coming into the season. That's on Ryan Poles. Coming into the season without a center when you created money to go get one, without any guard play on this team when you created money to go get one. And you said Coleman Shelton was good enough and Ryan Bates was good enough. That's on Ryan Poles. I have questioned his process in this for years. But just like with Caleb Williams, if Caleb Williams goes out there and balls out and this coaching staff looks like a godsend, Ryan Poles hired him. Ryan Poles put it together. Ryan Poles gave him the team. You can't have it both ways. Now, if they fail, we'll be right back here crashing out on Tuesday. Y'all already know how I do. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to show the love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page if you have not done so. Shout out to you guys, man. We are, hold on, I don't even think I've done one of these up in here. We are over 100 in the chat, over 200 in the chat, over 300 in the chat, 371 people in the building, 78 likes on the video. Hit that like button if you have not done so. And if you got the hype button and you're on mobile, hit the hype button as well, man. Shout out to y'all for hyping up the video. Let's finish it out with this. Of course, I want to know you guys' thoughts in the comments below once the video is posted on the article. Try to get as many of you guys as possible. Going into this Monday night game, it's about to get interesting. It's about to get interesting on the defensive end. Injury report came out today. And right now, TJ Edwards listed as doubtful. That's a big blow. Jalen Johnson listed as questionable. That's a step in the right direction. Josh Blackwell listed as questionable. Dominique Robinson still listed as full. Kyle Monangai was a full today, which is good to hear because we didn't know if you were going to have a running back. You're going to get an opportunity to see a lot of your young pieces in this game because backing up DeAndre Swift is now going to be Kyle Monangai. Devin Duvernay was a full go today. He was dealing with a hamstring. Roschon Johnson was limited today. Roschon's still showing up as 2 on the depth chart, but I would think if he's limited with that foot and is having some issues, you would probably go Kyle Monangai in that situation. Again, Ben Johnson talked about him as somebody that he could trust. And then Josh Blackwell, like I said, limited as well. He's questionable for tomorrow. I think the big one on this is TJ Edwards. Not having TJ Edwards on the field is a massive hole in this defense because while I do think Tremaine Edmonds is going to have a little bit of a bounce back year here, and we're going to be talking about him differently by the end of the season, TJ Edwards is the guy you can trust. He's the guy you can count on. He's the guy that I don't have to go out there and sit there and say, is he going to make that tackle? Is he going to be in the right position here? Is he going to be in the backfield? Is he going to diagnose this play the right way? I have no questions on TJ Edwards' skill. I have no questions on TJ Edwards' talent. And it's why he ended up getting paid this offseason, right? Him not being out there in this Vikings game is going to make things just a little bit easier for a guy like JJ McCarthy. I don't know why. There's too many JJs in this game. My brain was like JJ, and I'm like, why would that make it easier on Justin Jefferson? JJ McCarthy. And the goal of this is to make things as difficult as possible for this rookie quarterback in his first start coming back to Chicago here. The Jalen Johnson aspect of this, I get limited and questionable. I would be very, very, very surprised. Very surprised if Jalen Johnson is getting 75 reps. I would be stunned if Jalen Johnson is out there on a full load game. I would expect him to be on a pitch count. I would expect him to probably play, I would almost say less than half the snaps because dealing with, what do they got him as, groin on here? Dealing with that calf and that groin injury, if that thing flares back up because you're trying to get back on it too quickly, you're talking about Jalen Johnson missing maybe 5-6 games. You have to deal with these soft tissue injuries carefully, and there has to be some kind of ramp up. There has to be some kind of, let's get him back into football shape. Remember, he didn't get any part of the summer workout at all, right? He didn't get any part of the preparation for this season, training camp, mini camp, any of that, because of dealing with this injury. So you're going to get some Tyreek Stevenson on Jalen Johnson minutes. Prepare yourselves. Or I'm sorry, on Justin Jefferson. Too many JJs on this team. You're going to get some Tyreek Stevenson on Justin Jefferson minutes. A little scary. It's a little scary. You may even get some Justin Jefferson to Sean Wright minutes. Ugh. It's a little scary. We pull up this Vikings injury report as well, just to see kind of where some of their pieces are. I don't know if they've dropped. Did they not drop today's injury report? Here we go, Friday. So Christian Darrisaw was a full go today, which is even more concerning. Oh no, this is yesterday. He was a full go yesterday after being a DNP on Thursday. Jalen Naylor was a full go again. Xavier Scott, DNP. Harrison Smith was limited. Remember, he was dealing with that illness. That will make things a little bit more difficult. Andrew Van Ginkel, yet again, was a full go. And Elijah Williams was DNP, did not practice with that hamstring injury. So you're not even getting Justin Jefferson on there. Oh, here we go. They just tweeted it out. That's interesting. Final injury report. Xavier Scott and Elijah Williams are out. Harrison Smith is doubtful. Christian Darrisaw is questionable. So we'll see if Christian Darrisaw does end up getting on the field for that Vikings team. But yeah, again, like you've got you're going to get an opportunity to get a good look at the young guys in this game early on that you drafted. Like I said, the questions on the Ryan Poles portion of that article. The questions on the Ryan Poles portion of that article. What is Ruben Hippolyte going to look like if he has to fill in? Because I believe that's where you would go. Ruben Hippolyte over Noah Sewell probably in that TJ Edwards spot, in my mind. It feels like he's going to get a good chunk of those reps there. If you go Ruben Hippolyte there, what does he look like in his first action, first game getting a start? That was the biggest question I had from the draft. He was the biggest, I don't know about this pick that I had from the draft. Yet again, in that, what was he, a fourth round pick? Was he a fourth round pick or a fifth round pick? Ruben Hippolyte, the second draft pick, I guess. I don't know. He was a fourth round pick. We know how that round's been for Ryan Poles. But DA loves him. DA loves what this young man can do. He loves the skill set that this young man has. He has a lot of belief in him. We're going to find out quickly. I think Kyle Monangai, like I said, that's a big one as well. You're going to find out quickly. What does a guy like Kyle Monangai look like? And I know still he's been in the league for a little while here, but a name like Dominique Robinson being a full go all week. We've talked about Dom Rob kind of, everybody's been like, you had an experiment here. You tried to convert, what was he? He was a high school quarterback, a college, what did he start off as a running back or something like that? And then he ends up playing defensive line here. You've got a guy who has gone through the process of essentially learning how to play D-line in the NFL. And he's a guy that Dennis Allen really likes for his system. He's a guy that Dennis Allen really likes for his scheme. What's Dom Rob going to look like? Because the one thing we always talk about with him and why I think he is a better fit for this scheme is he's incredibly fat wide receiver. Shout out Bears Junkie on that. He was a wide receiver in college that converted. He's incredible. He's got an incredible first step. But at times he can get knocked off his spot. He's got an incredible first step, but can he get over getting knocked off of that spot? And Dennis Allen has talked about this, right? Like he said essentially that a guy like Dom Rob, it feels like he's learned the position, that the game is starting to slow down for him, and now he can use those skills because he's not thinking about it, because he's just able to go, that now he can use those skills and those physical natural traits to get home a lot more. Could we see a resurgence in a guy like Dom Rob? I think a lot of our eyes are going to be on this defensive line no matter what. Of course, Montez Sweat, but also the Dio Adangbo part of this. As you go up against Minnesota, the massive questions right now on, is Dio Adangbo the kind of guy that you want to see or want to be paying $16 million to? I think what his responsibility in this defense is going to be different. I fully believe that Dennis Allen's big on get the pressure on the interior, and you let those guys on the outside kind of contain. With that, I mean, if you are getting that pressure from the interior, maybe Dial looks completely different than what we saw in preseason and what we saw in practice. I don't know if I feel that way just yet. I don't know if I feel that way just yet, but we'll see. I'm excited for Monday night, man. I'm actually upset. I'm not going to lie to you. I am excited for Monday night, but I got to let you guys in on this. The 300 that's in here. Over 300 in the chat. Shout out to y'all. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I'm excited about Monday night, but I'm a little bit sad because while I have a new job, got to let y'all in on this. I'll be doing a post-game show on Fox a few minutes after the game. We'll be doing that all season. And we are going to be, I believe it's going to be me, Tina Wynn, and Jim Miller. And I'm very excited to do that. But it's right after the game, which means I have to watch the game downtown, which means I personally will not be on the watch parties this year. Now, Kid will still be there. JC, Joel, Drew, the whole team is going to be there. But I personally will not be on the watch parties this year nearly as much. I might be able to join in virtually a couple of times, but I got to be downtown to watch these games because I got to be there after the show. So I'm a little bit sad on that front, but incredibly excited to start this new journey. Incredibly excited to, be a part of this new team as well. Still going to be doing posts on ESPN. So don't think it ain't happening. Still doing posts on ESPN, baby. It's still going to be me, Meller, and J-Mac. 2 hours after the game. We will be live at this game. So if you still up and you jonesing for some Bears content at 2:30 or at 1:30 in the morning, your boys will be there. But I need y'all to still support the boys over there on the watch parties every Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, whenever they're going live. I need y'all to rock with them. I need y'all to keep the support for the channel very strong. We appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate y'all because I don't get here without you. The reason I'm able to walk into rooms and get certain shows and get certain opportunities is because you guys continue to show up and you guys continue to support me and continue to rock with me, and people notice that. People notice when y'all go on Fox and y'all do hashtag Breeze Nation. People notice that. I get calls about that. People notice when you guys pull up to the events when we do them and they go, yo, Breeze Nation, or when you call into the post-game show and you say Breeze Nation. They notice that. And that helps me get into certain places. So I appreciate you guys so much. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I'm going to get up out of here. Got to go check on the fam. Make sure y'all hit that hype button as well. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Big Bear Dunne. We at the season. Hold on. We gotta do this one time. I need to turn up real quick. We gotta turn up real quick. Y'all know why?
Are we here?
Cause Bears football is back, baby.
The best show for Chicago.
That's right. I need Bear Downs in the chat. Oh my God. Bears football is back, baby. Let's go out here. Ben Johnson era begins on Monday night. And oh, we gonna have some fun, baby. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down. One love. Peace.